Right, okay, these are the handcuffs which are sort of a linked handcuff. There's all sorts of difference. You can put like a linked handcuff on its own, which is like a single link and they just spin round. You get these which are like a fixed link. You get what you call a rigid cuff, which is basically the two handcuffs with a bar and there's no movement whatsoever. People are probably aware of when they first come into the country. Linked cuff, you put them on, yeah. Very, I wouldn't say they're very hard to restrain someone, but there's a certain way to do it. And the thing is with this is that actually the person who got injured probably the most if you're using for restraining was the person using them. Because being in that, they can turn around and they cut your fingers open. So even though, yes, they'll do a job, and I think when they made these ones, and I think these are probably the same ones, when these are first brought into the country, as you look, they're quite small on the wrists, and big people that didn't work. So what they did, and this without a word of a lie, all the ones Met Police bought, they sold to Hong Kong, because all the people have got smaller wrists. And this is like your rigid handcuff, okay, designed by the Americans, in a pouch, basically was supposed to go to the right of a pistol holster, hence why they sort of all that we see a lot of the pouches, they're about this sort of shape on the body, and the reason being they were designed by an American company. Okay, these back lock, which are really, really good, and ideally if you use a cuff like this, they should always be in a position where you bring them through, you back up for 3 times, and if you touch them, they always go through a lot quicker. So basically, you know, they're just made for easy use. Very, very similar cuff. So basically, when you're holding the cuffs, then there's a position here. As Mark said earlier, you've got 2 moving bits on the cuff itself, okay? What we don't want to do is have the cuff in this position where these are out, because they can be a little bit of a weapon, obviously, either on yourself by injury, or if you don't use it properly, then you'll injure someone as they catch them. So ideally with the cuff, just bring it in and make it so it's in a position where they're actually locked into the double bar at the back, okay? And much, much easier to use. That's what we're looking to do now. Is once the handcuff's locked in that position, it's not going to go either side of the bone, because what you'll find is that if it goes above the God's notch and stuff like that, you'll start getting a lot of nerve damage here, especially if people are being sort of quite movable with the cuffs or becoming sort of fairly aggressive, and they'll start causing injuries there. So ideally we want it there, want it as tight as possible, obviously not tight that's going to cut the circulation off, but just tight that it's going to restrict the movement a little bit as well. Okay, there's also no real sort of prior urgency to put the cuff on first of all. If you think you can take it into a wrist lock, then we can do that to put the cuffs on. You know, if we can actually put the cuff on quite quick and then bring him out, then we can do that as well. You know, so it's about sort of applying your drills to how you're going to do. And it's a handcuffing position to the front. Just going to use it in what we call a stack position, okay? And what stack means is that basically the hands are going to be in this position, so that's what we're looking at finishing off, okay, in that position there. As soon as I touch the fingers, then I come on with a cuff, okay? That'll come on and I can lock him up from there, okay? From there, just nice and easy, I can step in, just gives you the hand out, making him do the work. He's twisting his body, not myself. I'm going to keep myself as, you know, in a straight position as possible. From there, I'm going to pop the other cuff on, okay? And I'm going to make sure that's okay. Is that all right, John? Okay, so I'm going to make him do all the work. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to come in and take the handcuff, I'm going to lift his right elbow up, but I'm going to stand away. And it's John's body that's off balance, not myself. Furthest hand away from me, I'm always going to release. So I'm going to look at this one here, so I'm going to pop in with a key here. Get that out, okay. And again, bring him out and I'm going to secure the cuff. So if the guy then, if I think I need to sort of, you know, I've 2 decisions now, I either release the handcuffs or I think I need them. So all I'm going to say to him, I'm going to handcuff him up. Just put a hand on your back, please. Okay, from there, I'm going to come in. Can we just spin around? Okay, so I'm finishing off exactly the same position now as what we did before. Okay, I'm in nice and close, nice little arm lock here should I need it. Cuffs ready there. John's securing the arm over that side. So when I'm ready, I can say, okay, John, just pass your hand over. As his hand gets over, I can just tap the fingers. Lock him up, okay, and he's in there nice and easy. John's still securing him. We've got no major rush here at all, okay, because even if you're going to start pulling, we can come in nice and easy. Okay, if you're off balance at all, he's going to let us know, so I can do that. You know, we want to double lock the cuffs as soon as we can, but if the person's a problem, it's not a problem for us, because we've just got to justify, because he was doing ABC. As soon as he's calm, I can come in with my key, double lock, and the handcuffs are there in situ. Okay, so it's exactly the same as what we did. And if you know, it's no different from a person being at the floor, bringing them up, standing up, kneeling down, because with our method of showing the arm restraints, the arm is always in the same place all the time. And all you're doing is just putting a handcuff on. Okay, so don't try and change the move. And sometimes, if you get people who are very, very broad and very, very muscly, okay, that their hands aren't going to go together. Don't care what you do, unless you're going to try and injure someone, their hands aren't going to go together. The easiest solution is just put a handcuff on the other hand You just bring the handcuffs in and you lock the handcuffs in. You will meet people that, I'm sorry, but their hands do not go together. You know, because the actual length between the handcuffs is only so long. And if they're that sort of big, they can't get there, then you may have to use 2 sets of handcuffs. Okay? And that's quite easy because you just put the handcuff on exactly as we've been shown. Okay? You just do the touch and cuff principle, and as you bring it round, you just lock the two free handcuff things together. It's as simple as that. Okay, so I'll take this handcuff first. So just go back into the normal releasing procedure. And what I can do on this one, because he's been a little bit naughty for us. Okay, so the handcuff's going to come off. And what I'd like to do, nice and slowly, get your hand out to my colleague. That's it, lovely. Okay, just stay relatively like it here. And just bring your hand over towards me. He's going to put his hand naturally in a position where I want it to go. So if I need to, I can come in and secure it. If I don't need to, because I want to release the handcuff, John's obviously doing the compliance on that side. I can take a step out and release that hand, mate. Okay, I can come in, nice and easy, undo the cuff, and I can walk away. And when John's ready, he can just release, and the guy's left to his own devices. The important thing to note is that there is no rush in what we do. There is absolutely, you've got total control with these cuffs, so we can take it just as we need to be. And if you're out of breath because you've had a tumble, then we can just take our time, get some oxygen back to the system, and just carry on, because everything is in just little bits, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, so that we can sort everything out. There's just no rush to do these. Okay, have a go. It's groups of 4. Okay, so if I'm in that position and John's here, you know, and I've got him in a nice sort of like secure position, for instance, okay, then ideally, you know, it's exactly the same as what we've just been doing. This is like a palm towards the ceiling. Yeah, if you look at it, all he's doing is lying down, that's all. But the palm is towards the ceiling. So it's no different from what we did standing up with the palm towards the ceiling. Yeah? The only difference is that I've got to come a little bit lower and the body's on the floor. Okay? From there, it's exactly the same position. All I'm doing, I'm going to come in, going to grab his fingers, and as soon as I do that, yeah, touch and cuff. So I've got that position now there, right up as soon as possible. Put your hand behind your back. He will put it in a position where I need it to be. So I'm just going to come in, secure the handcuff. Give you the hand, please. Getting the fingers, okay, pulling nice and long. I can handcuff them up. Right pocket empty. Okay, so basically, exactly the same thing if we're looking at just doing it from the prone position, what we've been shown as well. So I can come in, obviously I've got the wrist in this position, so what I've got to remember is how I'm going to do the actual handcuff itself. So there's one or two things that I can do. I'll just quickly show you. I can either bend the wrist as I do it, so then I can put a top cuff on here, just going out the back of the hand here, or if I'm in that position I can just go click that way and it comes out. But it doesn't matter how you do it, because it's how you finish is what's important. Okay, so if I'm going to come in from that position, I can grab the fingers, I can handcuff him. Okay, it's quite easy for me because I want to get that little bit of control. I can say when I'm ready, put your hand behind your back, mate. So he puts his hand behind his back. Okay, nice and easy. I can just come in, secure the handcuff, keep his hand here, come in if I need to, whatever I want to do for this particular thing. When I'm ready, and I say to John, okay mate, what I'd like to do is put that hand behind your back as well. Okay? So he's going to come and do it naturally. So from that position, I can just lock him off into the handcuff itself. Okay? So it's no problem. Remember, he will only put his hand in that position there. Okay? For taking off, all I can do, I can release the handcuff. Just give your hand to okay? I can bring him back up here because I want to onto your side, please. Okay? Hand goes back underneath the head. Okay? I can bring the hand out. And again, yeah, just bring his arm round so I've got that control if I need to, so I can now either release the handcuff or we can decide to bring him up and we do exactly the same position. I'll say, okay mate, what I want to do is I want to pick you up onto your feet. Okay, and when you're ready, put your hand in first and just nice and easy up onto your knees, please. Up onto your knees, put your hand nice and straight. Okay, feeling alright? Yeah. Okay, what I'd like you doing is when you're ready, okay, I'm going to give your hand out to my mate to your right hand side. Okay, nice and easy, you're going to take your hand. Okay, what I'd like to do, after the count of 3, just pop up onto your feet. So from there, I can again release the handcuff, he's going to become more cooperative, or again, let's go back into exactly what I've taught you. Put your hand behind your back, which he does it, come in that position here, so I'm in my lock, nice and secure. If he's going to be pain, when John's ready, got him under control, give us a hand, ungrab the fingers in, and we just lock the person up. And it's exactly the same as all the other moves that we've done. Okay, so do it from that prone position, off onto the angle, just do it nice and gently as you come along. Okay, so that's on there.
From there, I want to take the pressure off his belly and his chest as quickly as possible. Mate, look away from me. That's an important point, guys. Remember that. I'm just going to pull you over onto your side. I'm going to take the furthest shoulder and the furthest hip and just roll him onto his side. If we were on gravel or concrete and he'd been looking the other way, he'd have had to do a big face scrape to get round this way, so it's important he's facing in the right direction. Now guys, if he is massive and you're not, or you're shattered from having a fight with him, or whatever, don't risk doing yourself a career-ending back injury by trying to get him up. Call for assistance, you know, take your time. It's no big problem. As long as he's still breathing and we're talking to him and he's talking back so we know he's talking, we can leave him lying here like this. We can even put him into a bit of a semi-recovery position till we both get our breath back and some big lads in a van turn up. If, however, we're feeling fairly confident that we can stand them up, and obviously we're going to be with a colleague anyway, we can get them up in a fairly simple fashion. But the points are worth remembering. We'll run through it again afterwards. Mate, I'm going to try and get you up into the sitting position, okay? So can you stick your legs out in front of me in that direction? Good. I'm going to put one hand under his armpit, and now I'm going to push down hard on this hip, and I want you to come up to the seated position and no further, do you understand? Yeah. 1, 2, 3. All the pressure's going onto his hip to roll him round. I'm not dragging him up by the arm, and never, ever, ever be tempted to pick somebody up by the handcuffs. That arm's there for a bit of support, a bit of an extra pull should he need it. Okay, I want you to bring this foot up, put it flat on the floor as close to your knee as you can. Excellent. Nearest hand goes underneath his armpit. I'm going to push down on the knee around to here, and I want you to come up into the right, into the kneeling position, no further. Understand? Yeah. Lovely. Notice what I do with my other hand here, guys. 1, 2, 3. As soon as he rolls round and he's past his fulcrum point, and I know he's going to make it, my other hand comes up to protect myself, either from a deliberate or an accidental cheeky headbutt. So, it's furthest hip, furthest shoulder, then it's hip and armpit to seated, then it's knee and armpit to the kneeling position. Yes? Then hand underneath the armpit, bring the leg that's nearest to me up and flat on the floor, and nice and gently just stand up.